The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Chapter 1. Tom and His Friends.
Tom! Tom! Where are you?
No answer.
Where is that boy? When I find him, I'm going to...
Aunt Polly looked under the bed. Then she opened the door and looked out into the garden.
Tom!
She heard something behind her. A small boy ran past, but Aunt Polly put out her hand and stopped him.
Ah, there you are. And what's that in your pocket?
Nothing, Aunt Polly.
Nothing? It's an apple. I can see it. Now listen, Tom. Those apples are not for you. And
Oh, Aunt Polly! Quick! Look behind you!
So Aunt Polly looked, and Tom was out of the house in a second. She laughed quietly.
Oh, I never learn. I love that Tom, my dead sister's child. But he isn't an easy boy for an old lady. Well, it's Saturday tomorrow, and there's no school. But it isn't going to be a holiday for Tom. Oh, no. He's going to work tomorrow.
Saturday was a beautiful day. It was summer, and the sun was hot, and there were flowers in all the gardens. It was a day for everybody to be happy. Tom came out of his house with a brush and a big pot of white paint in his hand. He looked at the fence. It was 3 meters high and 30 meters long. He put his brush in the paint and painted some of the fence. He did it again. Then he stopped and looked at the fence, put down his brush, and sat down. There were hours of work in front of him, and he was the unhappiest boy in the village. After 10 minutes, Tom had an idea. A wonderful idea. He took up the brush again and began work. He saw his friend, Joe Harper, in the street. But he didn't look at him. Joe had an apple in his hand. He came up to Tom and looked at the fence. "I am sorry, Tom." Tom said nothing. The paintbrush moved up and down.
Working for your aunt,
said Joe.
I'm going down to the river. I'm sorry you can't come with me.
Tom put down his brush.
You call this work?
He said.
Painting a fence,
said Joe.
Of course it's work. Perhaps it is, and perhaps it isn't. But I like it, said Tom. I can go to the river any day. I can't paint a fence very often.
Joe watched Tom for about 5 minutes. Tom painted very slowly and carefully. He often stopped, moved back from the fence, and looked at his work with a smile. Joe began to get very interested and said,
Tom, can I paint a little?
Tom thought for a second.
I'm sorry, Joe. You see, my aunt wants me to do it because I'm good at painting. My brother Sid wanted to paint too, but she said no. Oh, please, Tom, just a little. I'm good at painting too. Hey, do you want some of my apple? No, Joe, I can't. Okay, you can have all my apple.
Tom gave Joe the brush. He did not smile, but for the first time that day, he was a very happy boy. He sat down and ate Joe's apple. More friends came to laugh at Tom, but soon they all wanted to paint too. By the afternoon, Tom had 3 balls, an old knife, a cat with one eye, an old blue bottle, and a lot of other exciting things. He was the richest boy in St. Petersburg. And the fence, all 30 meters of it, was a beautiful white. He went back to the house.
Aunt Polly, can I go and play now?
Aunt Polly came out of the house to look. When she saw the beautiful white fence, she was very pleased. She took Tom into the house and gave him an apple.
Well, you can go and play, but don't come home late.
Tom quickly took a second apple and ran off. On Monday morning, Tom didn't want to go to school, but Aunt Polly got him out of bed and then out of the house. In the street near the school, he met his friend Huckleberry Finn. Huck had no mother, and his father drank whiskey all the time. So Huck lived in the streets. He didn't go to school. He was always dirty, and he never had a new shirt. But he was happy. The mothers of St. Petersburg didn't like Huck, but Tom and his friends did.
Hello, Huck,
said Tom.
What have you got there?
A dead cat,
What are you gonna do with it?
asked Tom.
I'm gonna take it to the graveyard tonight,
Huck said.
at midnight. A dead cat can call ghosts out of their graves. I never heard that,
said Tom.
Is it true? Well, I don't know,
said Huck.
Old Mrs. Hopkins told me. Come with me and see. Or are you afraid of ghosts? Of course not, said Tom. Come and meow for me at my window at 11 o'clock.
After this, Tom was late for school, and the teacher looked at him angrily. "Thomas Sawyer, why are you late again?" he said. Tom began to speak, and then stopped. There was a new girl in the schoolroom. A beautiful girl with blue eyes and long yellow hair. Tom looked and looked. Oh, how beautiful she was. And in 2 seconds, Tom was in love. He must sit next to her. But how? In the girls' half of the room, there was only one empty chair, and it was next to the new girl. Tom thought quickly, and then looked at the teacher.
I stopped to talk with Huckleberry Finn, he said.
The teacher was very, very angry. Boys were often late for school. That was bad. But talking with Huckleberry Finn was worse. Much worse. The teacher took his stick, and 2 minutes later, Tom's trousers were very hot, and the teacher's arm was very tired. "Now, Tom Sawyer, you go and sit with the girls." Some of the children laughed. Tom walked to the chair next to the new girl, sat down, and opened his book. The other children began to work again. After 10 minutes, the girl looked up. There was an apple on the table in front of her. She put it back on Tom's half of the table. A minute later, the apple was in front of her again. Now it stayed. Next, Tom drew a picture of a house and put it in front of her.
That's nice,
the girl said.
Now draw a man.
Tom drew a man next to the house. The man was taller than the house, and he had very big hands and very long legs. But the girl liked him.
Can you draw me now?
She asked. Tom drew a girl next to the man.
You draw beautifully. I can't draw pictures. I can teach you, said Tom, after school. Oh, please? What's your name? Tom asked. Becky. Becky Thatcher.
Just then, Tom felt a hand on his head. It was the teacher. He took Tom by the ear and moved him back to his chair in the boys' half of the room. Chapter 2. in the graveyard. That night, Tom went to bed at 9:30. He waited for Huck's meow, and at 11 o'clock, it came. He climbed quietly out of the bedroom window, and then he and Huck walked out of the village with the dead cat. The graveyard was on a hill, about a mile from St. Petersburg. When the boys got there, they put the dead cat on a grave and sat down behind some trees. They watched and waited. It was very dark and very quiet. "Do you see that new grave there?" whispered Huck. "That's Hoss Williams' grave. He died last week." "Perhaps he can hear us," Tom whispered back. "Do you think he can, Huck?" "I don't know, but Shh! Oh, Tom, what is it?" "Shh!" whispered Tom. "I can see something. Look!" Huck moved nearer to Tom. "Ghosts," he said. "3 of them. They're coming here, Tom. Oh, let's go home." "They can't see us," Tom whispered. "Not here." "Ghosts can see through trees," said Huck unhappily. "They can see through everything." The ghosts moved quietly through the graveyard and came nearer to the trees. Huck and Tom watched, very afraid. Then, after a minute, Huck said, "Tom, they're not ghosts. That's Muff Potter." "So it is. And that's Injun Joe. And the other man is Dr. Robinson. What are they doing here?" "They're grave robbers, Tom. They're going to rob a grave. My father told me about it. The doctor wants a dead body, you see. He cuts it up because he wants to learn about—" "Shh," said Tom. "They're getting near." The 3 men stopped at Hoss Williams' grave, and Injun Joe and Muff Potter began to dig. 10 minutes later, the grave was open. "Now, Doctor," said Muff Potter, "you want us to take the body to your house? That's $5 more." "No," said the doctor. "I gave you the money this morning. I'm not giving you any more." "Now you listen to me, Doctor," said Injun Joe. "I want that money. Do you remember a day 5 years ago? I came to your house and asked for something to eat. and you gave me nothing. Nothing. So give me that money." He took the doctor's arm. But suddenly, the doctor hit him, and Injun Joe fell to the ground.
"Don't hit my friend!"
cried Muff Potter. He jumped on the doctor, and the two men began to fight. It all happened very quickly, and the two boys watched with open mouths. Injun Joe got up. He had Muff Potter's knife in his hand now, and he moved behind the doctor. Then the doctor hit Muff Potter on the head. Muff fell to the ground. And at the same moment, the knife in Injun Joe's hand went into the doctor's back. The doctor fell to the ground on top of Muff Potter, and he did not move again. The two boys could watch no more. Very quietly, they moved away from the trees and then ran out of the graveyard and back to the village. Injun Joe stood by Hoss Williams' grave and looked down at the two men. Then he put the knife into Muff Potter's hand and sat down. 3, 4, 5 minutes went by. Potter moved a little and opened his eyes.
What happened, Joe?"
He asked. "This is bad, Muff," said Joe. "Why did you kill him?" Muff looked at the doctor's dead body, then at the knife in his hand.
"Me? Did I kill him?"
His face went white, and the knife fell from his hand.
"It's the whiskey, Joe. I never fight with knives, usually. Oh, why did I drink all that whiskey tonight? I don't remember anything."
"It's okay, Muff," said Joe. "I'm not going to tell anyone. You get away quickly. Go on. Go now." Muff Potter got up and ran away. Joe watched him for a minute. Then he carefully put the knife next to the doctor's body. Then he, too, left the graveyard. The next day, the sheriff's men found the doctor's body in the graveyard and Muff Potter's knife. That night, Muff came to the graveyard to get his knife. But the sheriff's men were there, and they took Muff to St. Petersburg's little jail. And there Muff sat for 4 weeks and waited for his trial. Tom and Huck could not forget that night in the graveyard. They were very unhappy and very afraid.
"What are we gonna do?"
said Tom.
"Muff Potter didn't kill the doctor. Injun Joe did. We saw him." "I know,"
Huck said.
"but what can we do? We can't tell anyone. I'm afraid of Injun Joe. He's dangerous. And he's a killer. Do you want a knife in your back?" "Yes, I'm afraid of him too,"
Tom said. He thought for a minute.
"I'm sorry for Muff Potter. But you're right, Huck. We can't tell anyone about Injun Joe."
Chapter 3 On Jackson's Island. The summer holidays came, and there was no school. Tom didn't want to think about Muff Potter and Injun Joe, but it wasn't easy. At night, when he was in bed, he saw Injun Joe's face in the dark, and he couldn't sleep. But he couldn't talk to anyone about it. One hot summer's day, he and Joe Harper were down by the Mississippi River. They sat and watched the boats, and fished, and talked.
"Let's get away from here,"
said Tom suddenly.
"Let's go and do something exciting somewhere."
"Okay," said Joe. "But what? And where?"
"I know,"
Tom said.
"Let's run away. Let's go and live on Jackson's Island. We can sleep out under the trees."
Jackson's Island was in the Mississippi, 3 miles south of St. Petersburg. Nobody lived there.
"Let's ask Huck Finn, too,"
said Tom.
"but don't tell your mother or father or anyone. Go home and get some things to eat, and meet me here at midnight."
So that night, 3 boys in a small boat went down the river to Jackson's Island. They had some bread and some meat, and Huck had his pipe, too. When they got there, they carried everything onto the island and made a fire under a big old tree. Then they cooked some of the meat over the fire. And oh, that meat was good. The best dinner in the world. Soon, they stopped talking. Their eyes closed, and they slept. The next morning, Tom woke up with the sun on his head and a smile on his face. Then Huck and Joe woke up, and the 3 boys ran down to the river to swim. After that, they fished, and soon they had about 6 big fish for their breakfast. They cooked the fish on their fire and ate them all. They were very hungry. "That," said Joe happily,
was a wonderful breakfast.
After breakfast, they walked through the island, swam some more, talked, fished, and swam again. They came back to their fire in the afternoon. Suddenly, Tom looked up and said,
"Listen, can you hear boats?"
They listened, and then ran across the island to look down the river. There were 20 or more boats on the water. Every boat in St. Petersburg was out.
"What are they doing?"
asked Joe.
"They're looking for a dead body, I think,"
said Huck.
"They did that last summer when Bill Turner fell in the river and drowned." "Who's dead, do you think?"
asked Joe. The boys watched the boats. Suddenly, Tom cried,
"I know who's dead. It's us. They're looking for us."
This was wonderful. Tom looked at his friends.
"We're famous,"
he said.
"Everybody in St. Petersburg is talking about us. And they all feel sorry for us."
Night came, and the boys went to sleep. But Tom did not sleep. And when morning came, he wasn't there.
"Huck, where's Tom?"
cried Joe.
"I don't know,"
Huck began.
"but look, there he is. He's swimming across to the island now. Hey, Tom!"
At breakfast, Tom told his story.
"I went home last night,"
he said,
"and listened at the window. Joe, your mother was there too, and she and Aunt Polly cried and cried. I heard some very interesting things. On Sunday, there's going to be a big funeral at the church. For us. And listen, I've got a wonderful idea."
Huck and Joe listened and laughed. And yes, it was a wonderful idea. That night, the boys cooked some more fish. And after dinner, Huck got out his pipe and began to smoke.
"Can we smoke too?"
asked Tom.
"I want to learn."
So Huck made pipes for Tom and Joe, and the three boys sat and smoked.
"Hey, I like smoking,"
said Tom.
"It's easy." "It's nothing," said Joe. "I'm going to smoke every day."
But after 10 minutes, Tom and Joe got quieter and quieter, and their faces went an interesting color.
"I'm going for a little walk now,"
said Tom. He stood up carefully and walked away into the trees.
"Me too,"
said Joe, quickly. The two boys came back an hour later, but they didn't smoke their pipes again. On Sunday morning, there were no happy faces in St. Petersburg. Aunt Polly and Joe's mother and father were in the church, and all the boys' friends. The minister said some very nice things about the three boys, and the boys' families cried and cried. Everybody cried, and little Becky Thatcher did not stop crying for 1 second. There was a small noise at the back of the church, but at first nobody heard it. Then the minister looked up and suddenly stopped speaking. Everybody turned to look. Their mouths opened and stayed open. And into the church came the three dead boys. Tom first, Joe next, and then Huck. For a second, nobody moved or spoke. And then the noise began. Aunt Polly and Joe's mother ran to the boys and took them in their arms. Aunt Polly cried and laughed and cried again. "Oh, Tom," she said, "you're a bad boy, but I love you." Suddenly, the minister called out,
Oh, happy days! Sing, good people of St. Petersburg! Sing and be happy!
and everybody sang and smiled and laughed for a long time. It was St. Petersburg's happiest funeral. The weeks went by, and the judge came to St. Petersburg. On the day before Muff Potter's trial, Huck and Tom met in the street near Tom's house. Huck was unhappy. "Tom, you didn't tell anyone about, you know."
No, I didn't. But Huck, what about Muff? People are saying he's the killer, and he's going to die.
"But we can't tell anyone about Injun Joe," said Huck. "I don't want to die too. Do you?" No, Tom didn't want to die. But he couldn't forget Muff Potter's face in the jail. Old, tired, and unhappy. And Injun Joe was a free man. It wasn't right. That night, Tom came home late and very excited. He could not sleep for 2 or 3 hours. The next morning, all the village was at Muff Potter's trial. Injun Joe was there, too. Muff waited, a tired old man with a dirty face. The judge began the trial. Questions, questions, questions. Answers, answers, answers. And the answers were all bad. from Muff Potter.
Yes, I found the knife in the graveyard, next to Dr. Robinson's body.
Yes, that's Muff Potter's knife. He always carries it.
Yes, I saw Muff Potter in the village that afternoon. He had the knife with him then.
Muff Potter began to look more and more unhappy. Then the judge said,
Call Thomas Sawyer.
St. Petersburg sat up. What did young Tom Sawyer know? Everybody looked at him and waited.
Thomas Sawyer, where were you on the 17th of June at the hour of midnight?
In the graveyard.
Why?
I went there to see ghosts. With a dead cat.
St. Petersburg laughed, and the judge looked angry.
And where were you in the graveyard, Thomas?
Behind the trees near Hoss Williams' grave.
Injun Joe's face suddenly went white.
Now, my boy,
Said the judge,
tell us your story.
and so Tom told his story. And St. Petersburg sat and listened to him with open mouths.
And then Muff Potter fell. And Injun Joe jumped with the knife and
Crash! Injun Joe jumped through the window and was out and away in a second. St. Petersburg loved Tom for a week. But Tom was not happy. Injun Joe was not in jail, and he was a dangerous man. Tom slept badly for weeks. The slow summer days went by. Injun Joe did not come back to St. Petersburg, and Tom began to forget.